Good morning. Let's start with today's lecture. In this video, we are going to learn about the solid waste management. So, uh, before starting, let's study the categories of waste. So there can be different types of waste which needs to be managed. First is organic waste, then organic waste such as kitchen waste and what we get from the plants, that is leaves, flowers, etc., and the waste which comes from the food preparation, vegetables, fruits, and marketplaces, etc. Then combustibles such as wood, dry leaves, then paper, and uh, whichever material is organic and which is having low moisture content, right? Then third is non-combustibles such as metals, all the kind of metals, stones, bottles, etc. Then we have toxic waste, that is old medicines, paints, chemicals, bulbs, whichever is toxic to the humans. Then we have recyclable materials such as paper, glass, metals, plastic, etc. All kinds of plastic are not recyclable. Only those which are said to be biodegradable can be recycled. Next kind is ash dust, then construction waste, hazardous waste, dead animals, bulky waste, solid waste. These are the types of waste, or these are the category of waste. So soiled waste is hospital waste such as cloth soiled or blood, and other body fluids, right? Then what are the various sources of solid waste? So we get solid waste from so many sources. The first is from our residence, from our home itself, right? So what all we throw away from our home as a waste is residential waste. For example, food waste, plastic, paper, glass, leather, cardboard, metals, etc. Right? Then we also use many different items such as electronic items. Then we have uh, many a times we paint our house. Then the waste generated from that paint, that is empty cans and other things. So many things are there which come under the residential waste. Okay. Then second type is industrial. Second source of waste is industries. So industries, uh, for example, construction sites, there are heavy manufacturing industries, right? Then there are fabrication plants, canning plants, powder and chemical plants. So many types of waste are generated in industries. The industries produce solid waste in form of housekeeping waste, food waste, packaging, ashes, construction and demolition materials, etc. Right. Then third is commercial waste. So commercial facilities and buildings are also a source of solid waste, right? What can be commercial building? For example, hotels, then restaurants, godowns, stores, offices, etc. Okay, so they also produce different kinds of waste. Okay, then institutional waste. For example, colleges, schools, then uh, many these ports, prisons, military barracks, etc. So these also produce so many different kinds of wastes. Then construction and demolition areas. This is also a source of waste, and municipal services, right? Then treatment plants and sites. For example, water is being treated for drinking purpose. Also, before disposing the water into the rivers and other water sources, it has to be treated. So such treatment plants, right, and other sites, and also from the agriculture, right, such as crop farms, dairies, vineyards, feedlots, etc. So these are the different types of sources from where the solid waste or other wastes are being generated. That is sources of solid waste, right? Now, what are the effects of poor solid waste management? Right? If we do not manage the waste which is being produced from so many sources listed above, then what will be the effects? So first will be there will be litter surrounding. That is, the surrounding will be dirty, and due to improper solid disposal system, particularly by municipal waste management terms, this waste heap up and become a minias. So if we do not manage it properly, it will keep it will get collected at all the places, and it will be a problem for us, right? Which will also be unhealthy for our living environment and for community also. And its impact on human health, definitely it will there will be a risk of so many diseases being spread because of this waste lying around everywhere, right? Then disease causing pests, in those ways there will be different pests will be which will be taking birth, and they will move around and create problem for us. Then fourth type is environmental problem. So if solid is not being managed properly, then it will cause problem to environment also, such as toxic metals, hazardous wastes, and chemicals. They will produce different kinds of unimaginable problems in the environment. Then uh, solid and groundwater pollution, soil and groundwater pollution. So definitely this solid waste lying around will get mixed with the water which is what nearby water source, and it will pollute that, right? Then emission of toxic gases, if by mistake or by any means if there is fire in this garbage, then it will produce toxic gases. And impact on land and aquatic animals, and definitely other than human beings, these animals also get adversely affected because of our waste which may not be properly managed. Okay, now what are the methods for solid waste management? So first is sanitary landfill. Okay, so in this is very popular method. So basically the garbage is spread out in thin layers and then compressed and covered with the soil or a plastic form, right? So this is what sanitary landfill is called. So nowadays these landfills are designed in such a way that the bottom of the landfill is covered with impervious liner, okay, which is usually made by several layers of thick plastic and sand. So these liners, what they do is they protect the groundwater from being contaminated, because when we fill this uh, land with the garbage that is pit with the garbage, there may be chances that some might uh, decompose and they get filtered out to mix with the groundwater, right? So in order to prevent that, these impervious liner of sand and plastic is being put as the bottom layer. So what are the advantages? If landfills are managed efficiently, it can ensure sanitary waste disposal method. So this is the advantage and constraint. It requires a reasonable large area. Definitely, we'll require very large area for this. Then second method for solid waste management is incineration, right? So this method involves the burning of solid wastes at high temperatures until the wastes are turned into ashes. So we can burn it, right? So when we burn it, it will give us the heat will be produced. Now this heat can be used for a furnace or boiler in order to produce energy. Okay, so this is another method to manage the solid waste. So it can become an auxiliary fuel system for us. Okay, now what are the advantages for this? See, the volume of combustible waste is reduced to a greater extent, right? And by burning it, and in case of an offsite pits, it is appropriate method to minimize the scavenging, right? Now, what are its limitations? It can cause smoke. Definitely, if we burn something, it will cause smoke and also emits gaseous pollutants. So, which may increase the air pollution. Okay. Now, the third way to manage the solid waste is recovery and recycling. So, this is one of the best method to manage the solid. So, recycling of resources is a process that takes uh, useful and waste item for the next use. So, we can reuse that the wastage which is still usable into next purpose. So plastic bags, tin, glass, etc. are recycled automatically since in many situations they are likely to be scarce commodity, right? But so for doing this, it has to be processed and cleaned before they are recycled. So it aims at reducing the energy loss, consumption of new material, and reducing the landfills, right? So what are its advantages? Recycling is environmental friendly, definitely, and uh, its limitations are that it is expensive and uh, there is very limited potential for that. Okay. Now the fourth method for this is composting. So only biodegradable materials can be made compost of, and that compost can be used for uh, uh, working as a manure for agriculture, right? Because it has high carbon and nitrogen content in it. So, what are its advantages? It is environmental friendly and it has beneficial for crops also, right? But its limitation is it takes a huge amount of time and very intensive management is required for doing this work, right? Now, the fifth method for doing this solid waste management is pyrolysis. So, in this method, the solid waste uh, are chemically decomposed by heat without the presence of oxygen, right? And it usually occurs in the temperature at 430 degrees Celsius, and the solid wastes are changed into gases, solid residue of carbon and ash, and small quantities of liquid. So, its advantage is it keeps the environment clean and reduce health and settlement problems. Now, what are the constraints regarding it? See, the systems that destroy chlorinated organic molecules by heat may create incomplete combustion. So definitely, since oxygen is not present there, there may be chances that the combustion is not complete, right? So inducing toxins and furnace, right? And these compounds are highly toxic in the part per trillion ranges. So it is very toxic. The residue it generates may be hazardous waste requiring proper treatment, storage, and disposal. So whatever is left out from it, it requires proper disposal system, right? So I hope this was clear to you about the solid waste management, and we'll continue with next topic in the next lecture. Thank you.